Welcome to Falcons Ledge, I'm Ostringer, and today is a great day where we're going to be reviewing the VKB STECS, or Single Twin Engine Control System. This is a device that had a very long development cycle, and for a time became somewhat of a meme when it comes to when it's going to be released. And I'm happy to say that the question of when it's going to be available has been answered, and that is, it's available right now. In traditional VKB fashion, the STECS is modular and extremely versatile. And I know that I use this term a lot in reviews. And for good reason too. This is a feature that's highly desirable in this segment, because these devices are used for a large number of airframes. And so it's certainly something that's in demand for flight sticks to be versatile. Same goes for throttles. In the case of the STECS, they seem to have taken this feature to an entirely new level, offering customization and upgradability that are simply not available anywhere else in the industry. As is traditional in our reviews, let's first take a look at the hardware itself. First and foremost, let's take a look at the construction of the STECS. The throttle is built of high-grade fiber-reinforced ABS plastic. And before I see the metal mafia cropping up in the comment section, the mantra of "if it's not made of metal, it's low quality" is horribly misinformed at best. Would I be extremely happy to see a metal option here? Yeah, absolutely. But the cost would have also been higher. In my opinion, the construction of the STECS is more about striking a balance between quality and affordability. The STECS uses ball bearings in its primary axis, which will provide the longevity that I believe will exceed the standards we see elsewhere in the industry. VKB are masters at damping, so the STECS is no exception here. The adjustable clutch dampers provide you with exactly the resistance you want, but are still buttery smooth. The throw of the STECS is slightly shorter than that of the Orion 2, at least in my view, but the axis itself feels smoother. Keep in mind that this is comparing a re-greased Orion 2 and a re-greased Orion 1 to the STECS. The original Orions were much more hitchy. In stock form, the STECS throttle gimbal is much smoother and much easier to operate. In respect to the throttle operation alone, I would definitely prefer the STECS over the Orion 2. Moving on to some of the other hardware functionality, we're going to talk about the buttons on the face of the throttle, and by face I mean the right side of the right stick, where your thumb is. There are 3 customizable buttons and switches here, and 1 analog stick. By default, you will find a 3-way here and a button here. I've chosen to run a castle style hat here, which is standard, added a 4-way here, and moved the 3-way that was here down to here. So far, I've liked this configuration. The lowest switch seems to be the easiest to be a 3-way in my opinion. A 3-way is easy to operate and reach in that position. I have nothing bad to say about the hats and switches here. They're all of good quality. I do like the rubberized tops on these pyramid style hats. I wish that there was a consistent surface to the castle style hats as well. The analog slew, being on the thumb, isn't something that bothers me. For some people, it is a deal breaker. My primary aircraft in ASAW is the F-16, so the slew being on the thumb is something I'm pretty used to. I would like to see this somehow being swappable from thumb to forefinger, maybe an adapter that can be included to make the slot allow to the larger slew and also the hat. The slew seems to operate decently, but I do have a couple of minor complaints. Number 1, there is only one cap available for this stick, and it's cone-shaped. For myself and a few others that I've talked to, this often means that you're going to move the axis when you actuate the center button. This isn't a deal breaker though, folks, because this piece can easily be 3D printed, and I'm positive that there will be plenty of options for other caps to put on this. In addition, it uses a very common shaft that likely can use a variety of publicly available Joy-Con caps. In addition to this, you can also use the dish style cap provided with your MCGU Ultimate if you have one. This was my solution. And number 2. In its default configuration, it seems to have a large center dead zone to keep you from accidentally moving it. And when you do move it, it seems to move a lot in the center, which is exactly the opposite of what I want for a thumbstick. However, have no fear, folks, this is not going to end up in the cons section, as VKB software came to the rescue. I reduced the dead zone from 15 to 10, and I changed the curve in the center, and this gave me approximately the feel that I wanted. As for the axis on the lower face of the right grip, I'm just not a big fan of this axis. It's totally personal and not a specific flaw or design issue. I just don't like the feel of the wheel, and I can't really reach it all that well. It just feels like an awful lot of reach to get down to it and operate it properly. And beyond that, it has no center detent. Moving on to the back of the grips. The 2 lever-style buttons have worked well as chaff and flare dispensers, for some aircraft anyway. Honestly, I've never had buttons in this location with any other throttles that I can think of, so I've never really thought of what I could put here. Either way, they have a great feel to them, a really nice tactile feedback when you activate them. On the left side of the left stick is an encoder. There are ways to convert this into an axis. A video for doing this I've linked in the description. I didn't perform the conversion myself. I've used it as a radar elevation knob in the Mudhen and the Viper, and it performed admirably in both aircraft, as well as others that I've used axis instead of encoders before. On the front of the left stick, you've got a button that you can use with your pinky. Another inset button on the grip. Next to the inset button is an encoder. I've used this for TGP zoom, among other things, and it performs well. Ahead of the left and right grips are 2 triggers. They may appear to be finger lifts, but instead these are buttons. I found them to be very useful for the finger lift buttons in the F-15E. I really don't care that they aren't finger lifts, as I use appropriately sized detents, and I've never accidentally entered afterburner or idle on this throttle. Moving to the right of the grip, we've got 2 hat switches. By default, one of these is a button, but it can be swapped out for one of the hats included in the STECS Standard package. I've used these for the so-called coolie hat and the comms hat on the F-15E to great effect. The base of the throttle has a dial and 2 buttons that can be used for different functions, as well as being used together to reset the device or learn new hats or buttons that you install, as well as it has a great use of swapping between detent blocks. The stem, or standard throttle extension module, that is included with the STECS Standard has a whole bunch of buttons you can use. A 2-way hat switch, a 3-position switch that can also be made into an axis if you like, and 2 encoders. It's a great amount of additional functionality that you can add to this already incredibly versatile device. Now we'll talk about what really makes this throttle unique, and in my opinion, its best feature, and that's its electronic detents. Many theories were had about what these would be. Some were more sci-fi than others. It ended up being more straightforward than many thought, but I really do like the implementation of this system on the throttle. This footage was recorded, but not intended to be used. But I can't think of a better way to show you. Here is me swapping between my A10C detent block with no afterburner to the F15E or F16 throttle block. It's fast and efficient, and really there's no other company that's offering quite this much customization. Yes, some companies offer adjustable detents, and yes, some companies offer some of the features within their detents like button activations for idle, start, and afterburner, and things like that. But nobody offers this much customization and on-the-fly changing of them. This is truly innovative. My hat is off to VKB for the way that they've built this feature. Now, before we move on, let's hear some STECS ASMR. Moving on to the software, the VKB Dev CFG software has always been incredibly powerful and capable of doing a huge amount to change the experience you have with the hardware. In the case of this device, I worked my way through the software for several items on this throttle, including the slew control, as I mentioned before. Despite being extremely powerful, the Dev CFG software has never been extremely pretty or intuitive in my opinion. But I have to hand it to VKB on their new detent profile section. It has a very intuitive, and though there were some learning curve involved, I blame that on myself. And I'm thankful to the VKB community and people like Nubbins, who provided good information when I was having some idle issues. The community that VKB has fostered on their Discord and other channels dedicated to them in other Discords is the best that I have found in the industry and deserves to be celebrated. I hope all other manufacturers take this to heart and develop something similar. One of the features that I love the most about this throttle is that it comes with several versions, and you can upgrade from one version to another, because another unique feature about VKB is that they provide their customers with the capability to upgrade their products. By offering upgrade kits, often even offering upgrade kits to the newest version of the same piece of hardware when updates are released. The first and most basic form of the STECS throttle would be the STECS Mini. The STECS Mini is purpose-built for those who have space limitations or budget limitations, coming in at only $199 and a footprint of only 155mm by 146mm, or about 5.5 inches by 6 inches approximately, for those who don't like to do conversions. The exact measurements can be found on the VKB Discord in a pinned comment in the STECS section. This version of the STECS doesn't come with the additional hat switches, but it does come with the ability to change the detents. If you would like to get the extra hats, you can have them for about $30. For $219, you can move up to the STECS Mini Plus. This is the same as the Mini, but with a larger base plate measuring 216mm or 8.5 inches in length, but still being the same width. This is to accommodate the ATEM module, or ATEM, which has 2 buttons that are covered, 4 additional buttons, and a 4-way push rotary encoder. So that's one that has 4 ways you can push it, and a center push, but also as an encoder. Just like the Mini, it does not come with the additional hats to swap out, but can be added for an additional $30. I do recommend this upgrade with any version of the STECS that doesn't come with it, just like I do with the premium upgrade in the Gladiator and XT. These 2 mini versions, I believe, are the best suited for pairing with the VKB Gladiator NXT. I always suggest getting the premium version, so in this case, I think the best pairing for the GNX would be the following: the GNX Premium Write for $165, and the STECS Mini Plus with button module upgrade kit for $249. That makes the whole kit $414. For what this setup can offer you in terms of functionality, this is a great value. If you're looking for the most bang for your buck, the most value option would be the STECS Mini at $199 paired with the GNX Standard for $135, which puts it at $313. This isn't very far off from some competitors like the Logitech X56 at $336. That's the current price of the non-refurb one on Amazon right now. And believe me, you are getting a ton more for your money from the GNX and STECS than you are from buying that X56. And the quality difference is incredible. The next version of the STECS up in the chain is the STECS Standard, which is the version that I was sent for testing. This is really the gold standard STECS. It has all of the additional hats that you can add. It has additional detents and detent blocks. This version is built on the same size plate as the Warthog, so it should be a familiar size and fit on a lot of available mounting hardware that's already out there. Finally, they have the STECS Max. This adds the same features as standard, but moves the stem module to the front of the throttle on an angled bracket, and adds the ATEM or ATEM module to the base from the Mini Plus. So this is kind of the ultimate offering from the STECS family, and this comes in at $319. That isn't really where the customization options end though. Let's say you wanted a Max, but you didn't want to use the ATEM module, but instead you wanted the STEM module like the Standard. Well, you can just buy the Standard and then add the MFH module, which is an extension, just the same extension that the Max uses. And then you can get a USB controller that VKB offers with the FSM or THQ or SEM module, or, create your own setup with multiple modules. The possibilities with VKB's ecosystem are pretty vast. The upper two options in the STECS lineup, I think, are best suited to be combined with a Gunfighter Mark IV, which, for the premium edition, is $389. This lines up pretty closely to its competition from Virpil, Winwing, and Thrustmaster. Let's take a look at this chart that shows us where the STECS lines up against its competition price-wise. As you can see here, from the look of things, VKB has positioned themselves in a pretty competitive place in the market. And by looking at this chart, for those wanting to get into the premium level throttle for a bit less money, the STECS looks like the solution for you for sure. Alright, we've talked enough about all of the minute details. Let's do some flying. I was playing with some different angles on the throttle camera, so please forgive me, and I didn't always pay attention to what was in the background. I'm always toying around with these things to try to get better angles and setups for you all. In our first video, we're going to be taking off from Anderson Air Base in the A10C Warthog. I'm using the STECS with my green detent block that I use with an idle detent only. I've paired it with the VKB Gunfighter Mark III, a 200mm extension, and the MCGU Ultimate Grip, along with the VKB T-Rudders. We're joined by ASAW's very own Orko. The thing that I love most about the STECS with the A10C is that the Warthog has a lot of hats that are required to make it run efficiently. My F18 grips on my Winwing Orion just didn't cut it. But the STECS does a great job of offering all the necessary hats, buttons, and switches to keep my hands on the controls when it's most important to do so. Next up, we have the startup process on the F15E in DCS. The star of the show here being the finger triggers being used as finger lifts. And now we're doing some air-to-air BVR engagements using the slew and ranging, as well as many of the hats. In this section, we're dropping some bombs on a FARP tent, and as we pass, we use the palm buttons to dispense countermeasures. And now I've decided to try the STECS in my main bird, the F-16. I really expected to hate the STECS for this since I have an F-16 specific throttle, but surprisingly, I didn't hate it. In fact, I found the throttle axis to be more comfortable, more smooth, and more accurate than the Winwing counterpart. The buttons and the switches on the STECS are plentiful and easy to find corresponding switches for all the airframes. Now on to the pros and cons of this product. As always, I'll start with the pros. Number 1, the price. The VKB STECS is priced extremely competitively, and when it comes to the functionality per dollar, I believe it's the best value out there today. Number 2, the feel. From the main axis to the detents to the buttons to the switches, this throttle has a great feel to it. It's comfortable to use, and I found myself reaching for it over other solutions available to me during this testing period. Number 3, quality. As expected from VKB, the engineering and quality is second to none. I didn't even find so much as a rough edge in its construction inside and out. Number 4, the community. As I mentioned before, one of the biggest advantages to VKB is that it's built this wonderful community. Go check it out. The link is in the description. Number 5, versatility. This throttle has set a new standard in versatility and customizability. There is simply nobody out there that offers the features of this throttle, from the swappable hats to the custom detents. It's truly impressive. There aren't really many aspects of this product that I would consider to be cons, so in order to pick some out, I really had to nitpick a bit. Number 1, there's a couple of buttons and switches that aren't really great feeling, like the thumb axis on the face of the right stick, the shape of the slew stick, and maybe the pinky button being a little harder than others to push. Not really anything big here. Number 2, with such a level of customization being available, it really would have been nice if the slew stick had been able to be moved from the side of the stick to the front of the stick or vice versa. So, should you buy the VKB STECS throttle? Well, if you are in the market for a highly expandable, versatile throttle that can do air and space sims, as well as service any airframe you want without swapping grips or modules, then I think the VKB STECS might just be for you. From my view, the STECS ranges from being an incredible value all the way up to being a great pairing with other high-end flight sticks like the Gunfighter. In conclusion, the VKB STECS is a highly adaptable and feature-rich throttle that brings features to the industry that are not available from its competitors. This throttle caters to a wide range of flight simulation enthusiasts. With its affordable entry-level options and comprehensive premium versions, it stands as a formidable competitor in the flight simulation hardware market, offering a compelling solution for both novice and experienced virtual aviators. A special thanks and shout out to the pilots and leadership of All Services Air Warfare, or ASAW, who provided servers for me to fly on for this review. If you are looking for a group to fly with that's casual and eager to help people out, please check the link in the description. I genuinely hope that you found value in this video. Creating it required a substantial investment of time and dedication, and I'm grateful to the opportunity to be able to share my insights with you. If you've enjoyed the content and would like to support the channel, please kindly consider subscribing to it. It really means a lot to me. For those who wish to further contribute, you can explore options such as Patreon in the description, or get in touch with me directly if you have some other idea on how to support the channel. Your engagement and viewership is the bedrock of this community, and I'm deeply appreciative for your involvement. As we bring this video to a close, remember to fly safe, have fun, and most of all, have a great day.